I think that people embrace this franchise and these characters uh, for a number of very large reasons. One is that there have been great stories told with these characters for roughly the last 60 years. Um, there's so many good runs of that comic book, and the namesake of the show, Born Again, is actually one of those sort of transgressive kind of. I think at this point in pop culture, it's one of those things that people who, for whatever reason, don't like comic books call graphic novels and call it more like literature. People should feel that way about comic books too, but but it's that, and it's one of the greatest. That book is one of the greatest superhero stories ever told. And now, granted, a lot of the plot points from that book were covered in season 3 of the Netflix show. Um, that said, we did made a lot of stylistic, even like lighting choices based off the artwork from that book. Um, but I think the other big reason why this franchise, this character, this show has so many fans is because the Netflix show is a masterpiece. The Netflix show has some of the best TV crime drama writing in general of the last several decades, and what they achieved in humanizing Matt Murdock and William Fisk and making them, like shattering them out of archetypes and turning them into these, like, even like someone who might be one of the worst human beings in New York City, but you see him fall in love and you see him be human. It's a great accomplishment of that show. And I think that's one of the reasons why its legacy has endured.
The criteria we were trying to hit was actually our own expectations as fans of the original show and as the character, and what the kind of show we wanted to make was what made us love the Netflix show. It's dark and gritty. It is street level. It is about complex characters and inner darkness. It is extraordinarily violent, but the violence isn't done for fun. It's done to demonstrate that actions have very real consequences in a street level show. I mean, hits hurt, falls kill, that kind of thing. And so there's a lot, from that show that we could look to as a North Star, and also from Frank Miller's comics and a lot of the other comics, where Daredevil is a person who bleeds in a very real way, and he can't come back to life, and he doesn't have any powers outside of his mind, and he of course has heightened senses, but it's still something where a human being can be a very real threat to him, and that just feels interesting. We can relate to that really strongly, and because the stakes are internal, they're about the darkness and egos within, especially the two men of Fisk and Matt. That's what we needed to hit. We needed to hit these extraordinarily high, almost operatic stakes, but the stakes are people. The stakes are not buildings or supernatural stakes.
Matt Murdock is a unsighted attorney in New York City who is he's one of the good ones. He's one of the when people tell lawyer jokes, he's not. They don't mean him. They don't mean him. They don't mean his Fred Foggy. He's the good guys, and he is someone who has grown frustrated enough with the system that he still does love the system. He still goes to his job every day, but he feels a drive to go do something outside the justice system that is being a masked vigilante. When we meet him this season of Daredevil Born Again, Matt Murdock is someone who has really hit a stride in his professional life. They're no longer struggling as a law firm, and he is, in the first act, he faces something that shakes him to his very core, and as a spiritual guy, a man who is a lifelong practicing Catholic, it even shakes him spiritually.
The character of Wilson Fisk comes right off the heels of what happened to him in Echo, as well as where we left him in season 3. We know that he has political ambitions, and he's been gone for a long time, and he comes back, and him and Vanessa, there's a tension between them because he just disappeared. And if you know Fisk, and if you know Vanessa, they are each other's entire world. If you don't understand their relationship, then you don't understand them. They are completely enmeshed in very interesting and weird little ways. And so as soon as we re-meet them, we realize their relationship is fraught, which means their whole worlds are fraught. But he's got this ambition to become mayor of New York. And you're going to be wondering at the beginning of like, what is this? Is this a power grab? Is this something that Vanessa set up? Is this, does he just want people to love him? And this question gets asked, and we're really earnest about it as filmmakers, is does he really care about New York? He just maybe is or isn't the right person for it. And that's what's so cool about him, is he's complicated. You just don't, he all of these answers might be true in weird little ways. So Ayelet, who plays Vanessa's role, is a very deep thinker, I think, in terms of, she has an extraordinarily strong opinion of who she is, and who she is so intimately related to Fisk. Her whole life revolves around this person, and vice versa. And so any decision that is made cannot be made unilaterally. They have to make it together. And when we come into the show, she has been missing her husband, who disappeared without warning, knows he's alive, but is very upset at him, and is actually committed an act outside her marriage that is very upsetting to both of them. And so she set up a business So Vanessa has set up a business within the art world, where she's essentially like an art trafficker, and she's found a way to make it bulletproof, as she says. And Fisk coming back into her life, simultaneously she loves it because she loves him so much. However, it blows apart these carefully laid plans. Like he comes in like a bull in a china shop with his own ideas, and she has to figure out if she wants to get on board with it.
So it's impossible to talk about the action in the series without talking about Phil Silvera. And Phil Silvera was a stunt coordinator on the Netflix show. He is now a second unit director and our stunt choreographer on this show. We have learned so much working with Phil. You can watch the stunt viz that Phil has shot, and you might question a single blow, a punch, a kick, whatever. And he is already, in his response, in Phil's response to any questions of his choreography viz, you understand that he has thought through every single tiny movement in a way that's a synthesis of hundreds of thousands of conversations with Vincent or with Matt, who plays Daredevil, or whoever it is, and that he has taken in their very, very deep, complicated approach to their character and their character's emotions and desires and everything, and he's combined that with his sort of almost like childlike admiration for the comic books, and somehow that all comes together into this choreography and this fighting that is so much more ground level and street and realistic than most superhero content.